Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to sew this very cute 3-pieces metal frame purse. For this purse, I prepared the newbie-friendly kit, which is everything has been finished cutting. What you need to do is to just sew. What you can see here, you get 3 pieces for the topping, which I ironed the fusible batting at the wrong side already. And this fusible batting is very fit for this purse and perfect for it. Because you can see my purse, it really stands here very good, and try to press it and it just come out again. So if you want to make something more later, you can always find that in my shop, and I will give you all the material information in the information box, which you can see below later. And of course, also 3 pieces for the lining and the metal frame. But in this kit, I match all the fabrics for you and iron and cut, but you will never know what you will get. So it's just a surprise kit, which is really funny to make and easy to make. A very good gift for your friends or your kids. Of course, you will also get a pattern from me, which in case you want to make something more later and maybe add your own idea. It's always very good to add your own idea. For example, at these pieces, you can try to make it with the patchwork or add some application, or maybe sew a lace on it. So it's up to you. Always have a lot of method to try to have something more on it. So it's very nice if I also give you the pattern if you want to make one more. But why I pre-cut all this for you is also what I want to show you is very important for sewing the purse. For sewing the purse, the first part is to cut, which means you cut good, then you will get a good result. You should cut very good, as perfect as you can, and then sew it. In this way, at least we are sure your purse will not look ugly after you sew. But for the first part, the cutting, you didn't do it good enough, then the result is not really what you expect. So that's why I prepared this pre-cut kit for you. Then you can see how I prepare my material. Then you can learn something from it and then make a very beautiful purse later. Okay, so now we start sewing. We sew from the top. We got these 3 pieces. We find the central point of this piece, which I already marked on the fabric. You can find that later. And then this is the side, and also find the central point. You can cut a small triangle here. You can see, and it's easy to find it. Also cut it for the other side. Some pieces I mark and some pieces I didn't mark them, but then it's very easy to find the central point. You can always fold it into half and then find it. And then we use the pin. Pin the two central points together. And then we pin here, the side, the 2 points, and then the other side. See, I pin the 3 points, and then you finish pinning the rest and sew around. for here, because you can see the side part, we have an arc here. And this fabric is straight, so it's good at this point you cut it a little bit. Not too much. You don't need to cut all the way up to the seam. Just cut around 0.3 centimeters. Then it's easy to pin it together with this part, this side part. You can see. Yep. Perfect. Then we do this and this. We do the same thing at this side. Just a little bit. Don't need to cut so much. Okay, so you can see I pin everything. So now we can go to the sewing machine, sew around, and remember, sew back and forward a few times at the beginning and the end. And after here, then you just sew the other side exactly at the same way from here. And then you can sew for the lining. It's also the same way as the topping. Just sew. So now I go to sew on my sewing machine and come back later. But if you don't have a sewing machine, you can also just sew this in the hand. But you should also just pin it before you start sewing. And because this is not a very big purse, if you sew in hand, it doesn't take so much longer time. And you can watch the television and sew at the same time. So it's not really very bad. Okay, so now I go to sew this. Okay, I'm back. Now you can see I finished sewing the two parts. This is for the top. And this is the lining. And for the lining, you need to remember at one of the sides, you need to save a hole here. Don't sew. This is for turn around later. And when you save this hole, it's very important. You save this hole at the side here, which the line is straight. Never save the hole at the bottom here, which have the arc. This is not a very good idea. So save a hole at the side, which is straight. And then we put this top in the line. Right side against the right side. And then we need to pin the two pieces together on the top. And when you pin, you should notice the seam allowance at here for the four places. And this part, you should always pin the seam allowance against each other. Then when you turn around, this line here is straight, have a perfect point here. So you pin this. I always pin this 4 places first. So then I'm sure my purse is in the middle, and it will have a very beautiful shape. And then the last one here. Okay, so you can see I pinned these 4 points together. And then what we need to do is to pin the central points for the lining and the top. And then the 2 points at the side. So now you can go to your sewing machine and sew around this top. And if you don't have a sewing machine, it's okay, you just sew in hand. You just need to make sure you sew exactly at the right place, but it doesn't need to be very even for the stitch if you sew in hand. But of course, it's much faster to sew on the machine. But if you sew in hand, you can also wash your television at the same time. It's not so bad. So okay, now I go to sew the top, and then we'll come back later. So now I sew the top together. So we are almost ready to turn around. But before you turn around, there's a very important step you need to do. Is we need to cut here. Cut as close as you can to the edge, but don't cut through the thread. And also for the other side. So we cut here, and then we cut the top. I have a very easy way to cut it. And if you don't have what I have, then for the normal way you cut is to just cut a few teeth here. And then cut some small triangle so when you sew it's not so thick here. But what I use is this scissor. This scissor I bought from IKEA, which is very cheap, but it's not very good scissor, but I don't use that so much, so it doesn't matter. But this is very good to cut the top. Which you can see here, what I cut. I cut as close as I can to the edge here, and then because of this scissor, I have a perfect teeth here, and it's so fast to cut it, 2 seconds, then I'm done. So now, you're ready to turn around. Find our hole that's at the side. This hole, you don't need to make it very big. It's just around 5 centimeters is enough to turn around because this purse is not very big. Of course, if it's a very big purse, then of course this hole will need to be bigger. Otherwise, you will tear up the fabrics. But for this, 5 centimeters is enough. And when you turn around, be careful, don't break your fabric. So now, see? We turn around, and then we put the line inside. Which you can see here, because I cut the small teeth on the top, so the top is, you can feel it when you finish. It's not so thick here, which is very easy to sew on the metal frame later. And if you have an iron, now is the right time to iron the top, iron a little bit lining to make it look more nice. And now you can see, and after you iron, we sew a small stitch on the top around 0.2 centimeters to the edge. You can sew on the sewing machine or sew in hand. If you sew in hand, just use a running stitch very fast, because this step is to make the line and the top stick together. Then it's easy to sew on the metal frame later. And about sewing the metal frame, I will have another video to show you how to sew the metal frame on, and it's fit for every kind of the metal frame. So if you want to see it, please go to the next video. Thank you for your watching, and if you have any questions, it's always welcome to contact me and ask. Thank you very much.